Hi, I'm Scott Garvey, machinery editor at Grain News Magazine, and welcome to another hands-on practical test here at Grain News Magazine. Today, Spencer Myers and I, from our partner publication AgDealer, got our hands on this, a Can-Am Defender UTV. It's all ours for the next few days, and we're going to put it to the test. We'll test out its features, see how it handles and performs in the snow in the countryside here and at the farm, and we'll let you know what we think of it. Well, this thing's got a lot of acceleration and you can get a lot of top end speed out of it, but inside the cab here, it isn't exactly quiet. Inside, this cab is pretty comfortable. Seating for three, well-appointed seating, and there's lots of storage space. Got a glove compartment here on the dashboard. Can also be taken out. Lock it back into place. Lift the passenger seat, and there's another storage compartment, and it can be taken out too. Here at the back, there's a composite box here with a standard tailgate. There's also 4 indents in the bed of the floor here, which match the shape of a 5-gallon pail. So if you're hauling feed out to the cows or something, a few bulls or something, it should help keep them stable. This box also tilts manually, and that also allows access to the engine compartment, and that engine is one of Bombardier's Rotax models, as all these Can-Ams are equipped with. And our model came equipped with a headache rack protector here to keep the back window of the cab safe. So it's been a couple of weeks. BRP contacted us, asked us what we'd like in terms of specifications and options on this model, and they built this specifically for us to test. And we've had it now out several times. We've had a variety of judges sit behind the wheel, take it into a variety of different conditions. We've tested its top end for speed, we've towed trailers, and done a variety of things that it would do on a farm. What did we think? Well, 3 years ago, when we did the Grain News UTV Challenge, the Defender scored really highly and was well liked by all the judges. And this updated version of that model we tested a few years ago is no exception to that rule. It was well liked by everyone who drove it. Of course, we've got a couple of things we can nitpick on it. So the model that Can-Am has sent us to test is equipped not only with a rear receiver hitch, but a front receiver hitch as well, so you can pull from both ends. We have had this on a trailer, and the V-twin Rotax engine that this model is equipped with, the largest engine available in the model line, has a lot of power, and there's no problem not only getting this down the road really quickly, but also to pull something behind. One of the problems, of course, with these drive systems standard across all of these models is backing up to a trailer can be a bit of a challenge. It seems to either want to go or not go, so inching up to a trailer hitch to get that precise movement is a bit challenging in all of these UTVs, and this one is no exception. So this unit came equipped with a fully enclosed cab. Driving it in the wintertime was a pleasure. The heater works fantastically well, kept us warm, kept the windows defrosted even in the chilly weather. Seats are comfortable and adjustable. Controls are simple and well laid out. Well, the one thing that did catch our attention was the sound level inside. This is a fairly noisy cab to ride in. Here at the back, this tilt box tilts up and allows access to the engine. Access is reasonably good. Of course, it's limited by the tilt angle of the box. Our unit came equipped with this headache rack, which we think would be a great option for farm use. It's going to protect that back window, and you can secure all sorts of loads to it. It's got 4 securement points. It is possible to put stakes in this box sides to raise the sides, and one of our judges thought that would be a real great benefit because the sides of the box are not very high, and some of the cargo that we did carry around fell out on the trip. Underneath, there is independent suspension at all 4 corners, and there is a lot of suspension travel available on each side of the axles. We took it at a relatively high speed over washboard conditions, and it performed really well, kept the vehicle pretty stable, and allowed us also to take some pretty steep off-road maneuvering, kept us very stable, and all 4 wheels well planted on the ground. Powering it is a twin-cylinder Rotax engine, and it's rated at approximately 50 horsepower, and for this machine to do any type of farm work, that is pretty ample. Also, the hitches are pretty sturdy, and they're capable of handling a sizable tow load.
Okay, Scott, so you've been testing this machine for a couple weeks now, in and out of the fields, in and out of some ditches. We have some footage of you getting stuck a little bit. Obviously, there's goods and bads to all of these tests that we do. First off, let's start with some of the positives. What were some of the favorite or more notable things about driving this model that we've had for a couple weeks?
Well, this is a really capable model, and it carries on in the tradition of the earlier model of the Defender, which we tested 3 years ago, and it was thought very highly of by judges. This machine is probably even more capable than that one. It's a very solid, powerful machine capable of not only high speeds, but significant trailer towing ability as well. And off-road, its performance is as good as it is on-road, although we've used it on some rural roads, but it's not really a road licensable machine, which is one of the drawbacks.
And even just today, right before filming this outro here, we were actually driving in and out of some, I guess you could call it some trail. Not a lot of snow in the area right now, but we were kind of in some mushy, wet snow. I found it to be handling well while I was driving. Did you notice any slipping or anything like that today in the conditions we were in?
No, and it really performs really well in those slushy conditions, and in deep snow, of course, with the rear differential axle lock. This thing will go through a heck of a lot of snow. When we did get it stuck, it was only momentarily, and we were out again no problem at all.
And I noticed a safety feature while we were driving this, and it was actually my mistake. I had my seatbelt into the wrong seatbelt buckle, and that's mimicking as if you weren't even having your seatbelt connected at all. And when that happens, it'll lock you into a certain power range, and you actually won't be able to travel at max speed if your seatbelt isn't on. So if you're trying to drive down the road going 40 miles an hour without your seatbelt, you actually can't do this in the machine. So I tested that by accident, but it was a good safety feature, and that's when you need it, is times of an accident. What are some of the last positives? I guess for me, positives, it's fun, it's new. The seating was very nice and comfy, and the warm, nice cab. What are your last kind of positives? And then we'll move on to some of the more negative or maybe nitpicky things that we could talk about.
Comfortable to drive. The cab is a great winter cab for prairie farming. If you're checking cows in the wintertime, this is going to keep you as comfortable as any pickup truck cab would do. Capable in snow, capable on dry, good road conditions, although it's not technically a road vehicle, and capacity and towing ability. I think that sums up the Defender.
And there's an option to put tracks on, right, that you actually can have on this model. So we haven't tested those yet, but there is that option if you're wondering about that. And now we can move on to some of the more nitpicky things. We test a lot of machinery, and we're always going to find good and bads of it. So what are some of the things that you notice that could change? As you guys can see in the shot behind me, there are no exterior mirrors right here or on the front of or the rear for that matter. So that's something that we noticed right away, that there's no mirrors. And Scott mentioned it a little earlier in the video that backing up to get right close to that hitch or backing up in those really kind of tight spots can be a little tricky without those exterior mirrors.
That's right. It does make hooking up to a trailer a two-man job, really. And it's hard also to see the hitch from the driver's seat position. But once you're hooked up, I mean, it's not going to pull a mobile home, but it's going to pull a typical farm wagon around, no problems at all. Really, the nitpicky stuff, some vibration noises we noticed in the cab from the removable toolbox. It just rattled a little bit.
And if that's full of wrenches, I imagine that could get a little noisier, right?
It could, and really what you don't need in this cab is more noise.
Yeah. Even something that we thought of, a quick fix could be a little slim piece of foam between. So whether you get Can-Am to fix that for you or whether you even want to do a little DIY hack, there's always options to do that. But just know there is a little bit of cab noise, especially once you get to those higher speeds. We noticed that around 50 miles an hour and up. It gets to be hard to have a conversation, right, in the cab, to say the least.
It does, but we don't recommend you drive at 50 miles.
Yes.
So as far as the negatives, probably the biggest one is purchase price. When you're talking in the high $20,000 range, you're almost in pickup truck territory here, or at least used pickup truck territory, and that's probably one of the biggest drawbacks. But if you have a use for this machine, if you can get that use out of it without needing to be driving it to town to get the mail or something, this machine is going to do a lot for you, and it probably earn its keep.
But like you said, a little bit of a higher price point, and at that point, if you're willing to spend around the high 20s or mid 20s, you are going to start looking at other options and not maybe just a side-by-side. So something to think about, but we've had a great time testing it and lots of different options available on this model. Like Scott said, we've got the headache rack and more of a farm-centric model. So if maybe, like you said, you're wanting to just go to town and back, you could have different options. But the way that this model has been set up, much designed for heavy farm use. Is that fair to say?
And that's what we told BRP's representative when they contacted us and they asked us what we would like in a machine. We said we don't want a machine that you take to the lake on Saturday and race around. That's not the kind of vehicle that's going to interest farmers. This version of the Defender, though, is not meant for that. This is a work machine.
Yes.
And it's a capable work machine. So that's our test of Can-Am's newest Defender. We hope you found it informative. Thanks for watching.